You ever been in a room full of people who were laughing one second and dead silent the next? That kind of silence that drops like a guillotine, slicing clean through the tension? Yeah, that was me, sitting at my wife's family dinner, watching her smirk like she'd just burned me at the stake. Only problem? She didn't know I brought the fire extinguisher and a goddamn flamethrower. It started with champagne and forced smiles. Her dad, Richard, kept patting me on the back, still riding high from his latest deal with the tech company he half-owned. Her mother, Patricia, was yammering on about some vacation they took without us. Typical. Then my wife, Samantha, raised her glass. God, even now I remember that look on her face. That fake, practiced, smug little smile. That, I'm better than you curl of the lip. She clinked her fork against the glass. I have an announcement, she said, real sweet. After a lot of thought, I've decided to file for divorce. David and I are no longer working. Just like that. Like she was announcing a new haircut. I saw it. That glimmer of satisfaction in her eye. The shocked gasps turned into her triumphant smirk. She thought she had control. She thought she'd thrown the first and last punch. I guess she forgot who she married. I stayed quiet for exactly 5 seconds, just long enough to let the moment settle, just long enough to let her enjoy her temporary high. Then I stood up. My turn. That's funny, Sam, I said calmly, raising my glass. Because I have an announcement too. Earlier today, my holding company finalized a purchase. I now own 76% of your father's business. Effective immediately, I'm the majority shareholder. Boom. The clinking of silverware froze. Samantha's glass paused midair. Her father's jaw fell open. You could have heard a gnat sneeze. I let that moment marinate before I went in for the kill. Oh, and that's not all, I added, casually taking a sip. Turns out, when you're busy screwing your gym trainer in our bed, it leaves a digital trail. Emails, videos, hotel receipts. I'm sure the prenup lawyer will love it. Dead. Silence. Samantha's face went from smug to sick in seconds. That golden tan glow she always flaunted looked a little more pale now. What the F*** are you talking about? She spat, trying to recover. Oh, don't act surprised, I replied, still calm. You remember Trent, right? Tall, dumb as rocks, abs like a Marvel extra? You should have wiped your emails better. Patricia covered her mouth. Richard turned beet red. Samantha went from smug to shrieking. You hacked me? You're insane. No, Samantha. I'm prepared. I dropped a folder of printed emails onto the table with a satisfying thud. And now? You don't just lose your husband. You lose your lifestyle. Daddy loses his company. And Trent? Well, he gets to enjoy your crazy full-time. I looked around the room, locked eyes with each one of them. Then I raised my glass again. To new beginnings. And I sat down. You might be wondering how I got here. What kind of man walks into enemy territory and drops a nuke like that? Well, buckle up. Because the rabbit hole goes deep, and I didn't get here by accident. I got here because I stopped being naive. Because the woman I married turned into someone I couldn't recognize. And it started long before this dinner. But that dinner? That was my line in the sand. That was the point where I stopped asking, why would she do this to me? And started asking, how do I make her regret ever thinking I was weak? This wasn't revenge. This was self-respect. And this is just the beginning. I started noticing it in the smallest ways. That's always how it begins, doesn't it? Not with a bang, but with silence. Samantha used to laugh at my jokes, even the dry ones. She'd curl up next to me on the couch, steal my fries when she said she didn't want any, nudge me at night just to say hi. Then, all of it started vanishing, piece by piece, like a house sinking into the earth. At first, I thought I was going crazy. She claimed she was tired all the time, overworked from her marketing job. I offered to book us a weekend getaway. She said no, too busy. I offered to bring her lunch to the office. She snapped at me, said she wasn't 5 years old. The yoga classes started next. Twice a week, then 3, then 5. Always in the evenings. Always right after dinner. Well, after I had dinner. She usually skipped it by then. Always already ate, or too full. She'd come home sweaty and glowing, like she'd just run a marathon, but not the kind with sneakers. I played dumb. For weeks, I did. I smiled. I kissed her when she'd let me. I told myself every marriage goes through phases, right? Maybe she was stressed. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Maybe it was me. Then I found the first clue. Her phone lit up one night while she was in the shower. I wasn't the kind of guy who checked phones. Never felt the need to. But the screen lit up, and the message preview said, "Last night was insane. Can't stop thinking about it. That thing you did." Followed by a tongue emoji and a devil face. I stared at it for a solid minute, waiting for it to make sense. Hoping it was from a girlfriend. Some inside joke. Maybe a bachelorette party gone off the rails. But the name? Trent. The ing gym trainer. Tall. Tatted. Sleazy. The guy she once told me had the IQ of a hamster, but a body like a Greek statue. I laughed when she said it. I didn't realize she was sizing up her next conquest. I didn't confront her right then. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted more proof. Maybe I wanted her to admit it without a fight, to just come clean so we could burn everything down properly. Instead, I started collecting things. Screenshots. Hotel receipts. I tracked her GPS once, told her I was out of town and stayed parked 3 blocks from the place she swore up and down was a yoga retreat center. Watched her walk in alone. Trent showed up 30 minutes later. I didn't need a camera crew to know what was going on inside. That night, when she came home, I was sitting on the porch. "How was yoga?" I asked casually. She kissed me on the cheek, fake as hell, and said, "So relaxing. Just what I needed." I stared at her. My blood boiled. But I smiled. That was when I decided, no tears. No begging. No confrontations in the hallway where she could gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. I was going to make her remember the day she tried to burn me alive. Because I was going to walk out of the fire holding the matchbox. I spent the next 2 weeks preparing in silence. I met with my lawyer. I had her served at work. After the dinner, of course. I made the purchase offer to her father's board members discreetly, under a shell corporation. He was struggling with cash flow and didn't realize who was really holding the leash. Until I yanked it in front of his whole family. Funny thing about betrayal, it doesn't just break your heart. It cracks open this quiet, calculated version of yourself you didn't know existed. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth to hurt. And I wanted her to feel it in front of the people who thought she was the perfect wife. The golden daughter. The one with class and grace. She wasn't any of those things. She was just good at faking it. I wasn't going to fake anything. Not anymore. After that dinner, Samantha didn't come home. She left with Patricia, still yelling something about psychotic behavior and legal action, clutching her purse like it was going to protect her from the fallout. Her father didn't say a word, just stood there, stunned, gripping the armrest of his chair like it was the only solid thing left in his crumbling little world. I drove home alone, windows down, no music, just the sound of tires humming against the road and my thoughts clawing through my skull. You'd think I'd feel good after a stunt like that. Power move. A clean hit. But all I felt was hollow. You build a life with someone, you think you know them, how they laugh, how they breathe in their sleep, what drink they order without looking at the menu. And then one day, they're lying through their teeth, calling you crazy while they screw someone else in the same sheets you picked out together. The house was too quiet. Every drawer, every chair, every light switch carried her fingerprint. The smell of her perfume still lingered in the hallway. I sat on the edge of the bed we used to share, stared at the empty space beside me, and tried to remember when it stopped feeling like us. That night, I didn't sleep. At 2 a.m., I checked the cameras I'd installed last month. She never noticed them. Tiny, tucked into corners, angled just right. I saw the footage. Him walking in. Her pulling him by the shirt. The way they laughed. Like I never existed. I paused it. Rewound. Paused again. Watched it without sound, because hearing anything would have snapped something in me. The next morning, I texted her. "You can collect your stuff this weekend. I'll be gone. Don't take anything that isn't yours." She replied 6 hours later. "You're unbelievable. We could have handled this like adults. You're a child. No apology. No remorse. Just blame." That was Samantha in a nutshell. When she got caught, she doubled down, flipped the narrative, turned herself into the victim. I didn't respond. What was left to say? Over the next few days, I cleaned house. Not just physically, emotionally. I deleted our wedding photos from my phone. Took off the ring. Boxed up anything that had her scent, her style, her smile. If she left anything behind, I'd toss it in the trash. Not out of spite, just peace. But then came the confrontation I didn't expect. She showed up on Wednesday. Didn't text. Didn't knock. Just walked in with her copy of the key like she still had the right. "I want to talk," she said. She was dressed like she always did when she wanted to look innocent. Soft cardigan. No makeup, fake vulnerability in her eyes. You have 10 minutes, I said, standing between her and the living room. Really? She scoffed. That's how you're gonna play it. That's how I'm playing it now. She dropped the act instantly, like flipping a switch. You embarrassed me in front of my whole family. No, I said. You did that to yourself. I just gave them the script you'd been hiding. Her jaw clenched. So what? You're gonna destroy my life now. Funny. I thought you destroyed it when you let another man touch you in my house. She had the nerve to laugh. That smug, cruel laugh she used when she was trying to cut deep. You act like you were some kind of perfect husband. You were boring, David. Always working. Always trying to fix everything. I needed passion. I needed someone who sees me. I just stared at her. That was her defense? That I didn't throw her against the wall and grope her like a savage every night? That I treated her with respect, and that was boring? You needed someone who sees you? I said slowly. I saw you, Sam. I saw the real you. The one you tried to hide with your fake smiles and fake tears. I just didn't want to admit what I was looking at. She stepped closer, like she still had power over me. Like she thought I'd crack if she just got close enough. I made a mistake, she said, softer now. But you're throwing away everything we built. You made a choice, not a mistake. Don't confuse the two. And everything we built? You wrecked at the moment you brought him into our bed. Silence. She blinked, lips twitching like she wanted to cry. But I knew her too well. Those weren't tears. That was panic. Because I wasn't begging. I wasn't fighting. I was done. She turned without a word, walked to the closet, grabbed a few things, and left. No goodbye, no apology, just the echo of her footsteps fading out of my life. And somehow, that hurt more than anything. A week passed. The silence in the house shifted. It wasn't heavy anymore. It didn't cling to my neck like it had in those first few days. Now it was clean, calm. I could finally hear myself think, and what I heard most was, you wasted too much time loving someone who never deserved it. I didn't cry. I didn't scream into pillows or punch holes in walls like some broken movie cliche. I just sat with the truth. Let it settle in my bones. She wasn't coming back. Good. It was Friday when Trent showed up at my office. You read that right. The clown himself. I was on a call with the legal team, finalizing some paperwork about the acquisition, when the receptionist buzzed in and said, "There's a Trent here to see you? Says it's urgent." I didn't even flinch. I just said, "Send him up." The guy strutted in like he was walking into a gym, not a corporate boardroom. Tight black shirt, gold chain, some knockoff designer sunglasses pushed onto his forehead. He looked like a bad Tinder date brought to life. "You got some nerve, man," he said, barely closing the door behind him. "You could have handled this privately." I leaned back in my chair and smiled. "You came all the way here to tell me how I should have handled my wife's cheating? She said you'd blow things up, but this? You're ruining her life." "No, Trent. She ruined her own life. You were just the cheap accessory." His face twitched, but I saw it, the flicker of fear. Not physical fear. Something worse. The kind of fear that comes from realizing you're in way over your head. "I'm not here to fight," he said, backing off. "I just want you to stop dragging me into it. You think this is about you?" I laughed once. "You're a sideshow. A blip. A half-wit with abs. You think I care about your reputation? You're the guy she settled for because he was easy and available. You're bitter, man," he said, half smiling, like he was trying to save face. No wonder she left. And that was the last straw. I stood up and walked around the desk, slow and calm. "Get this straight, Trent," I said quietly. She didn't leave. She got exposed. Then she ran. She didn't walk away with dignity. She got kicked out of her own lie. And now she's flailing. "You know what?" he shot back. "She's better off. At least with me. She's not walking on eggshells around some robotic husband. You think you're an upgrade? You think this ends well for you?" I tilted my head. "Good luck. Because you're next. You're the new boring. Give it 6 months. Maybe less. She'll find another thrill and leave you exactly where she left me. Except you won't even get a prenup." He stared at me for a second, just long enough to realize I was right. Then he left. No more words. The door clicked shut behind him, and I didn't feel anger. I felt something better. Clarity. That weekend, I watched her Instagram go private. A few friends told me she'd been posting cryptic quotes, stuff like, "Some people don't appreciate you until you're gone," and "I had to lose myself to find peace." Translation, she was spinning the story. No surprise. She couldn't handle being the villain, so she started painting herself as the wounded phoenix. She forgot the part where the phoenix sets fire to her own damn nest. I didn't comment, didn't stalk, didn't respond when her cousin reached out and said, "She's hurting, you know." Good. Let her hurt. Because I did. Because I lay awake wondering what I did wrong, while she was sneaking around with a protein shake in human form. Let her wake up in a cold bed. Let her open her phone and not see my name. Let her realize that no matter how many likes she gets on a filtered selfie, the one person who actually saw her, the good, the bad, the broken, is gone. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free, and I was just getting started. 2 months went by. By then, the divorce was official. Clean cut. Thanks to the ironclad prenup she was too in love to argue with back then. She didn't get the house. Didn't get a piece of the business. Didn't even try to fight for the dog, because she knew she'd lose. Her father, now technically my employee, kept his head down. We only spoke when necessary, and even then, it was clipped, formal. He knew better than to bring her name up. After all, I'd saved his company from collapse while his precious daughter was busy dismantling her marriage for a few sweaty nights with a discount gigolo. One morning, as I stepped out of my office, I caught sight of her. Samantha, standing in the lobby like she belonged there. My receptionist gave me a warning glance like, "Do you want me to call security?" I shook my head. I could handle her. She wore a white blouse and that same little fake innocent smile. Hair done. Makeup light. The whole. "I'm just here to talk costume." "I won't stay long," she said quickly. I needed to see you." I looked at her like I was seeing her for the first time. Not the version I used to love. Not the one I cried over. But the real version. The cold, self-serving, manipulative woman who thought she could burn everything to the ground and come back once the smoke cleared. "Then say what you came to say," I said flatly. She hesitated. Her lips trembled, but I could tell it wasn't emotion. It was calculation. Measuring my tone. Searching for cracks. "I made mistakes," she said. "I know," I replied. "I wasn't happy, David. You were always so perfect. Like I couldn't breathe." I almost laughed. Perfect. That's what she called it. My loyalty. My late nights building a future for both of us. My efforts to keep things together even when she was emotionally gone. She twisted that into suffocation. "I should have told you," she added, eyes wide like she expected me to soften. "I didn't want to hurt you. But you did. Over and over. And don't act like it was one mistake. It was a choice. Repeated. Planned. Carried out like a mission. I wasn't myself. You were exactly yourself." I cut in. "You just didn't think I'd ever see it." Silence. She didn't know how to respond to that. Her jaw worked like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. "I thought we could talk," she said finally. "Maybe reconnect." That was the moment I knew she'd hit the wall. Trent was probably gone. Or maybe he was still around, but already boring. Maybe she realized late-night hookups and ego boosts don't pay the mortgage or pick up the pieces when life gets hard. She'd lost her safety net. Now she wanted to crawl back into the space she set on fire. "I'm seeing someone," I lied. Didn't even blink. Her mouth opened slightly. Jealousy flashed across her face. Not because she loved me, because she lost. Because someone else got what she threw away. "Oh," she said. I smiled for the first time. "Yeah, she's not perfect, but she's honest. And I'll take honesty over fake passion any day." She stood there for another few seconds, trying to think of something to say that would flip the board back in her favor. But the game was over. She'd already lost. So she turned and walked out. No tears. No screams. Just quiet defeat. I went back to my office. Sat down. Looked out the window over the city I'd spent years building my life in. And you know what I felt? Nothing. Not hatred. Not satisfaction. Just peace. Samantha was a chapter. No, a cautionary tale. And like every good story, hers had an ending. I was already on the next page. 2 more weeks passed before I saw the last real spark of her desperation. She emailed me. Subject line, "Can we meet privately? Just us. No lawyers." I didn't respond. 2 hours later, a follow-up hit my inbox. "David, please. I'm not trying to stir anything. I just need closure." Closure. What she meant was, "I don't like how you ended things." I didn't get to play the victim. I didn't get my moment to control the story. I deleted it. Then I blocked her email. That night, I sat on the back porch with a whiskey in hand, something soft playing from my speakers, the dog curled at my feet. I thought about all the times I'd waited for her to come home. The excuses, the fake smiles, the lies that stacked up like termites under drywall. And I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. Then came the final twist. The real bombshell. I got a call from one of the old guys on her father's board. James, an older gentleman who'd always been quietly respectful to me even before the deal went down. "You hear the news?" he said. "What news?" "She's pregnant," he said bluntly. "Samantha. Rumor is she doesn't know who the father is. Thought you should hear it before it hits any headlines." For a second, I didn't say anything. Just let the words hang in the air like fog. Pregnant. Of course she was. Because chaos doesn't stop with a soft ending. It always tries for one last encore. "I appreciate the heads up," I said. James hesitated. "You okay?" I let out a breath. "Honestly, better than I've ever been." I hung up, looked out across the backyard, let it all settle in. Samantha was spinning, clinging to drama like it was oxygen. A pregnancy scare, or reality, was just her latest move to try and stay in the spotlight. Maybe it was Trent's. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe she didn't even know. But I did know one thing. None of it had anything to do with me anymore. That was the true freedom. Not the house. Not the company. Not the revenge. It was knowing that her mess was no longer mine to clean up. A few days later, I got a call from her cousin again. "Sam's not doing great," she said. "She's been asking about you. A lot." "Let her," I said. "She asked for this. She got it. She says she still loves you." "No," I replied, cool as stone. "She misses control. There's a difference." She didn't call again after that. Neither did Samantha. I moved on. Started running in the mornings. Took that weekend trip to Colorado I'd postponed for years. Talked to my parents more. Laughed again. Real laughter. One night, I took a woman out to dinner. Someone new. Not flashy. Not fake. Just real. She asked about my past. I told her, long story. She smiled. "As long as you're not still in it." I smiled back. Not even close. Because I wasn't. I'd lived through a storm. Not rain. Not wind. A storm. A hurricane with a beautiful face and a venomous tongue. And I walked out dry. Not everyone gets that. But I did. And I'd never let anyone pull me back into that wreckage again. A few months later, I got invited to a gala, a big industry thing. Black tie, champagne, cameras. The kind of event she used to live for. Samantha thrived in rooms like that. She'd turn every conversation into a spotlight, every handshake into leverage. I almost didn't go, but then I did. Not out of pride, not to gloat, just to be present, to remind myself that I hadn't just survived the storm, I'd rebuilt better. I wore a tailored black suit, walked in alone, and within 10 minutes, I saw her. Samantha, standing near the bar in a blood-red dress. Still beautiful, still venom behind the eyes. Her face froze when she saw me, like she'd just remembered the devil she used to dance with had learned to lead. She gave me that trademark smirk. Used to be seductive, now just pathetic. A mask for someone who had nothing left but old tricks and fading charm. I raised my glass to her. She didn't move. No storm. No scene. Just silence. And that silence said everything. She lost. And she knew it. I didn't need to speak to her. I didn't need to prove anything. That was the old me. The one who thought love meant saving someone who was already setting fires. Now I knew better. I walked past her without a word, joined some investors at a table, and never looked back. That was the end. Not a bang. Not a blaze. Just a clean exit. And if you're reading this wondering what I learned, here it is. Never ignore the little lies. They're warning flares for bigger betrayals. Don't fall in love with potential. Fall in love with honesty. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. As for Samantha, she'll keep playing games with other men who mistake the fire in her eyes for warmth. And maybe one day she'll look back and realize she had the real thing and traded it for attention. But by then, I'll be long gone. Glass raised. Peace intact. Storm over.